I'm obsessed with making you happy. You're such a blessing. I'll do it gladly.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to season 2, episode 5 of the Can We Talk podcast, hosted by me, Myisha Cayro. I am excited about today's conversation. One of my favorite things in this world is R&B music. And this episode is special because it's June, so it's Black Music Month. But for now, we're going to talk to someone who is on the ground, so to speak, in this ever-evolving world of R&B. Sometimes they call it rhythm and blues, sometimes rhythm and vibes. Another subcategory is that neo soul, which I've heard is a little controversial. You also have soul music. It's a lot, but this gentleman's sound, I would argue, cannot be boxed in. He could do whatever he wants. He comes from a musical family. He's the son of a gospel vocalist, Miss Jackie Goucher, the nephew of one of the best bass players ever, Andrew Goucher. His siblings and cousins are making beautiful noise in the entertainment industry as well. You may have heard of the rapper D Smoke or TDE's Sir. How about Tiffany Goucher? All right. Well, I'd like to welcome R&B singer and songwriter Davion Farris to the Can We Talk podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Now, this particular press tour that you're on is in honor of your new EP, Moved, which released in May. Tell me a little bit about that.
Moved is, first off, thanks for having me.
Yes.
Moved is a collection of stories and experiences that I have been going through over the years, and in the process of learning myself, I've collected stories that I feel like people should be able to see themselves through. And so it's, it talks about love and it's varying forms. I call myself an R&B purist, and I say that this is pure R&B, and the foundation of that is love, musicianship and love in, like I said, all its forms, whether the flowers and the roses, or the heartbreak, the heartache, and the lessons that we learn from both. So that kind of summarizes what you'll get from Moved.
Isn't it funny how life teaches you that love is multifaceted? It's not just what we thought it was going to be.
Man. Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest. Teacher. Yeah. What was that?
I said life is definitely one of the best teachers of that lesson.
Yeah, for sure. Love is a great teacher as well. So there's a couple lyrics that I connected to as I was listening. I've played it over 2.5 times now, and it's a great project. Y'all go check it out. I'm assuming it's wherever music streams. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
So here's a lyric that I connected to, and I'm being a team player with this one. Sometimes these girls are the bad guy. Tell me a little bit about that.
What's funny? There's a lot in that line, right?
Okay.
Because it's not just it's not just stating the obvious in which I was I don't want to say the victim, but I was the recipient of the bad guy action or behavior. But it's also admitting that we aren't perfect, and while we may have a reputation for being the bad guy. And while I have been, I have honestly, admittedly played that role as well. This time around, it ain't my fault.
It ain't my fault. Okay. All right. Another lyric in that same track was "treat you like the truth, but you still lie." I liked that. That was clever.
I appreciate it. Again, that's something that I feel like we all have, in some form or another experienced, where, it's like, I was giving you me. I was being loving. I was being supportive. I was listening. I was trying to give you the type of energy that I expected you to reciprocate. And
yeah,
it still didn't end up being that.
Yeah, man. Whew. Okay. So there was another song. This takes a different energy, I'll say. How can we make love if we're not naked?
That's one of my favorite lyrics, because and really songs, because the entire song is a double entendre, right? Obviously, the obvious is you disrobe in order to make love, but it's if you dig deeper, it's talking about being honest and open and vulnerable. Like, how can we create a loving situation if we aren't honest with who we are to each other, and if we aren't, open enough to learning the details about each other, and how that works, and how we can exchange energy in a way that we both feel loved. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely one of my, I'm glad you got that one. That's one of my favorite lines and favorite songs.
No, I really liked it. When I first heard it, didn't hear the double entendre. I was like, you can make love and not be naked, because I feel like love can be made through conversation, through connection, through bonds. And then I'm like, oh, that is what he meant. So to your point, it has that double meaning. But I love that whole vulnerability. I remember I used to preach, you just got to be vulnerable. Till I had to be vulnerable. It's not easy to be vulnerable and raw and real. And that's when you start to see, like, am I actually compatible? Am I safe? Am I ready to be naked or raw or whatever, Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, absolutely. That's something that I pride myself on, and it's not just, the artist front face type of thing, in all relationships, I expect to be allowed to be myself, because I create a space where I don't want to change you. I don't want to make you feel like you have to be a certain type of way that is not in your nature to be with me. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's an important skill that we all need to develop in relationships, whether it be romantic or platonic. You know what I mean? 100. You want people to feel comfortable enough to genuinely be themselves.
I mean, I feel like that nugget of truth can be applied to so many different scenarios, like even in the aspect of social justice and looking at class issues. And we just are constantly judging the next person. But even in love or friendship, or even mother to child or father to son, just true love, like the essence of it. How many of us are really operating in that regularly, And so when you start to think of love that way, it's like, am I loving? Am I being loved? So I love it. I love these lyrics. So congratulations are in order to you, Davion, for recently signing to Hillman Grad Records. So for those of you listening, Hillman Grad is known as the new home of hip hop and R&B, founded by Lena Waithe. Y'all know that name, in partnership with Def Jam Records, and you better know that name. So Davion, I met you. Oh, by the way, I want to hear some feedback. How are you feeling about that?
I'm feeling absolutely amazing, man. Like I don't feel like I could have found a better home, just as far as, the type of energy that I carry, and the type of energy that you find that I've been able to find at Hillman Grad. Def Jam, obviously we all know the lengthy history, but the Hillman Grad team, Tebs and Angel and Albert and Lena and Rishi, and it's just been absolutely incredible. They're really supportive. They're all true experts at what they do, and they don't they didn't come in with an iron fist. You know what I mean? It was like they trusted me to have my own stories, and they trusted me to know how I wanted to express myself. And it's really been a give and take relationship, where I trust them to help me, when it comes to the visual, the marketing, the photo shoots and the videos, and, and that kind of storytelling, because we obviously know what Lena's track record is with that. It's immaculate.
That's
right.
Amazing.
So it's been beautiful. It really has.
Those of us who are fans of music, we claim to know or understand what it means to be signed. We don't really know what that's all about, and I know that has changed for artists, because I do work in radio, which I know well. Just you guys getting your flowers, your money, like, it's just different. So can you explain really quick what that even means to be signed, to have a new label that you can call home? What does that mean? Why do you need it? Why couldn't you have carried on as you were?
Man, but to be signed is, it means that you have to learn to trust, right? You have to learn to trust in timing. You have to learn to trust in someone else understanding your vision, and you have to trust that their input is valid and valuable. And like I have them behind me, like I said, to help develop the storytelling and the visuals and that and things of that nature. But where I really have to be trusting is timing on releases, how to do a real rollout. These are things that I've released songs. I've released two projects independently, and I definitely am very confident in the quality of music that I was releasing before, but I've never had this kind of support, this kind of backing to really help push it and get it out there and get it in people's faces. So that's a lot of what the label adds to the situation. So it's a really beautiful thing. If I can be honest, I'm thankful.
I'm happy for you. That's awesome. And someone like Lena Waithe, I feel like there's probably more magic going on than I understand. So I'm happy to hear that. The music is showing me that this is what's supposed to be happening right now. So we're going to close in a moment. I want to respect your time, but I wanted to close with a couple more questions. I met you years ago when I was a baby in the radio industry, and you've been doing this for a long time. We're probably around the same age. But we're young, but we've been at what we're doing for a long time. Something that I think is important for listeners who don't know you is the theme that I would argue is part of your brand or your story. And part of the reason you're here, and I would say that's family, the Farrises, the Gouchets, but also Inglewood. I'd like to bring all of this together. Family, Inglewood, the community, even being Black. How does that all contribute to who you are as an artist? And it is Black Music Month.
Well, I mean, I think the theme of that whole thing, if I were to sum it up, would be love. Understanding that is that's the thing that I learned most from my family. Right behind having right along with actually having a standard of excellence. That's one thing that my mother preached to my brothers and I. And approaching everything with that mindset that you genuinely try your hardest to put your best foot forward, and despite the talents that you may have been blessed with, it is your responsibility to develop them and to push forward to maximize that. So that those are two of the things that I would say I picked up from family and from just Inglewood. Even this is the city of champions. We don't take that lightly. We mean that, and we put our money behind that. So that's excellence and moving with love. People can see that I'm not perfect, and I definitely don't profess to be, but you definitely can tell I move with love, and I move intentionally in that way.
Ooh, I like that word, intention. I'm gonna be intentional about this as well. One more congratulations to you for the Grammy that you won with your participation. Hey, that's a good one. I like to see your smile with that. That's awesome. For your participation on the artist Lucky Days project, Falling in Love. You want to say a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was a really dope experience. Lucky is one of my boys. He's I mean, and in the artistry and is in this world, I can respectfully consider him big bro. He's a really amazing artist, and we actually wrote that song together for Mary J. Blige, right? And there's a lesson in this to trust your art, trust in what you do, even if the timing may not seem like it's happening when you want it or when you expect it to. We wrote that song for Mary J. Blige, The Strength of a Woman, a project in which I wrote the title track, and I think I got 4 songs on the album.
Congrats.
Thank you.
I'm
and
with
that could have been a 5th, but they went in another direction. And lo and behold, it came time for Lucky to work on and release his EP. And he was like, yo, this song is still strong. This song is still amazing. And so he called, he got Joyce Rice on the feature. Ended up being number 7 on the project. And, he won a Grammy for it last year. So
I love it. So yeah, you mentioned Mary J. Blige, other writing credits, Tyrese, Trey Songz, Genuine, Jill Scott, Sir, to name a few. You've had your music featured on TV programs such as The Shy, 20s on BET, the list goes on. So I have a question. All the big names, the awards, the recognition, I'd like to know what these accolades mean to the journey. I want to know if they change you at all. Does it change the art now that the world is paying attention?
They what they are, you know, they are they're encouraging factors in the journey, right? There are definitely, you know, goals along the way. One of my ultimate goals is to get a Grammy for my own project and my own art, but obviously even just a nomination for a project that you work on is an immense step. There are, you know, millions of songs released a week, you know, and so for your art to be recognized and voted amongst the actual music creators and those who are really heavily involved in the industry, you know, that it does mean a lot. You know, I would be faking the funk to act like, you know, oh, that's cool, just a little Grammy. Like, no, I'm extremely, you know, happy and appreciative of, you know, of the opportunity to be a part of something special like that. So yeah.
I'm gonna close with this question. With all the success, you're still human, you know, all the high energy, the lights, all of that. Do you ever feel like you need a sense of grounding through it all, or do you kind of maintain that?
Well, when you have been around the industry as long as I have, and you've had, you know, experienced the ups and downs, you know, that's heavily grounding in and of itself. And then, you know, again, like I said, the foundation that I was raised with, you know, the love, the, you know, sense of excellence and just a sense of family. You know, that's something that's you know, that's hard to get away from in a good way. You know, I definitely won't ever forget, you know, where I came from. And when, you know, and when I do reach, you know, whatever heights or do accomplish whatever goals, you know, I always have a sense of again, like I said, you know, where I came from and the journey that it took to get to that point, and understanding that there is no destination. It is about the journey. So, you know, so when, you know, with that in mind, you know, it always allows me to stay level-headed about it and just be thankful and appreciative when the highs come, because I know that the lows will come as well.
I love it. I've always loved that. I think in my early 20s, I heard that. I had been thinking it, and I heard someone articulate it. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And until you really are on that journey, I mean, we're all on the journey, but until you recognize that, it's just a powerful thing to know. And it is very grounding. So Davion, I just want to say congratulations for all that you're doing, all that you've done. Thanks for joining me on the Can We Talk podcast. I'm Myisha Cayro. That was my conversation with the one and only Davion Farris. Stream his EP Moved now wherever you listen to your music. Davion, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, Mike.